This video is all about volume and describing what volume is in math. Now, it's not about some guy who's super loud and holds onto a microphone and can sing really nice and scream and have these beautiful notes that he sings. It's not that kind of volume. What we mean when we talk about volume in math is how much a box or something, so here's my little box, how much a box can hold. So how many things can fit inside the box to fill it up. That's what we mean when we talk about volume. It's how much space is inside something like a box or a classroom or a building or a cup. But we fill it with solid stuff. Nothing liquid, not water or coffee, but solids. Like maybe we put bananas into a box, or here's my banana picture, or maybe we put golf balls into a box, or maybe we put square pieces of paper in a box. That's when we're finding out the volume of the box. Alright, so here's a box, and I'm going to fill it with, let's say, some baseballs that I find. So I'm going to fill in the baseballs. And what we're trying to find is the volume of the box. So what that means is how many baseballs would fit into this box. And we want to fill it right up. And once I find out how many baseballs fit in there, I would write the volume of the box in baseballs. So I might say something like, the volume of this box is 32 baseballs. And the reason I have to say baseballs is because that's the unit of measurement that I used to describe how big the box was, the volume of the box. Or if I put in tennis balls and it fits 65 tennis balls, I would say the volume of the box is 65 tennis balls. I'm always referencing my unit of measure. If I just said the volume of the box is 65, you might not know what I mean. You might be thinking 65 dice, 65 pizzas. Is it the size of 65 children? That's a pretty big box. So we have to be really clear about our unit of measurement if we're using tennis balls or baseballs, or maybe we do use dice. So if you look at this example here with the balls in there, there's a reason that using round baseballs or tennis balls maybe isn't the best idea, because if you notice in between the balls there are spaces here, and so we're not getting a very good or a very accurate understanding of how big the box is, because look at all the spaces in between the baseballs. There's lots of spaces in between and on the sides, so that's not very good. So there's something better we can use when we learn about volume. The better thing to use might be something that stacks a little nicer, like for example sugar cubes. If we put sugar cubes in here, sugar cubes stack pretty nicely together, and we could fill up this with sugar cubes. And I know what you're thinking, man, Mr. Siemens, those are some big sugar cubes. Yes, they are, but you know what? That's okay, because I'm just trying to give you a quick example. So I'm filling this up with some sugar cubes. I know that's not the greatest, but that's okay. Alright, so I have all these sugar cubes, and now if we look, there's really not much space in between some of these sugar cubes. There's only a little bit of space maybe, and if I drew it nice, there wouldn't be any space, because sugar cubes stack really nicely, and they don't leave much space in between. And that's why using something like sugar cubes is the best when you are estimating the or finding the volume of a box, is because they stack nice and there's not much room for things in between. Now, one thing you never want to do is fill it with random objects. So maybe you have a few bananas. Those are wicked looking bananas, thank you. Oh, that was weird. And maybe you put a few soccer balls in there. All right, awesome. And then you maybe put a few dolls. Maybe you have some dolls at home or some action figures and you put them in there. Well, that's really tough to get an understanding of the volume of the box because there's too many things. So we can't describe the box very easily. So remember, when you are finding the volume of a box, you always want to use the same object in the whole box. So if it's sugar cubes, you fill the whole thing with sugar cubes. If it's potatoes, you fill the whole thing with potatoes. And then you can say the volume of the box is 22 or so potatoes. Alright, and you include your unit of measurement. And that is why it's important to use the same thing to measure. Okay, good stuff. Finally, what I want to explain is that you are going to be using the symbol centimeters cubed to find volume, or sometimes you might use meters cubed. Now this thing here, it's cubed. It's because we are looking at 3 dimensions when we look at a box. This box has a length, it has a width, how wide it is, and it also has a height, how tall it is. So it has a length, a width, and a height. And that's why those 3 dimensions make us put this cubed symbol up here. So when we write centimeters cubed or meters cubed, it's because there are 3 dimensions that we're learning about.